speed limit in this
He's
state,
looking
Mr.
at you,
Nance.
kid.
45 miles an hour.
How fast was I going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
But what about us?
Memories. You're talking about memories.
Good, now have a drink.
I don't want anything of his or any part of it.
Except his life.
I wonder if I know what you mean.
I wonder if you wonder.
Played it for her, you play it for me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me. Waiting for a lady. Someday you'll understand that.
Got some news that's gonna take a lot of tension off you and Laura.
Stop it, Dix! I can't take any more of this!
I should be in the phone.
But there is sleep all over America.
Your hosts for the show, Carly Street and Jason D. Morris. Hi, Carly. How's it going?
It's sunny.
Sunny. It's dark here. Well, I have blackout blinds, so you can't see. It's always fun to have different time frames, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's never sunny here, so I was like, oh, sunlight.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, because is it always like overcast and rainy? You like
Yeah,
Seattle?
pretty much.
Yeah. Nice. All right. What you been up to?
Making stuff.
Baking?
Oh, making, not baking. God, no, not baking.
Okay. What are you making?
I'm making a cushion.
For?
Well, we got some of my nan's handkerchiefs out of a cardigan that Lily wanted that we didn't know were there. So I'm trying to make it into a cushion.
Oh, I see. Nice. Shawnee does that. She makes like blankets and stuff like that. Well, she used to for the kids. So she's for years been trying to work on making a blanket of their old baby clothes. But I don't know if she started yet.
Yeah, well, I had that idea a long time ago, and then I put all the baby clothes in one bag, and then I put them in the bin one day. I completely forgot what I was doing.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
So, I would never have done it right anyway.
I don't know about that. You just sew little squares together. It's pretty easy. I don't know.
When I was making this cushion, I did sew it to my leg, my trouser leg. So I had to undo it. That's why it's not ready to show you, because I've had to unstitch one side.
To like your skin or like your pants?
No, just the fabric, just the trousers.
Okay. That's good. Man, you're dangerous.
It's because I watch TV and I sort of do it and I put it all together and I'm like that.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon I'm just like that.
That makes sense. Oh, well, we are in pre-production for the Yellow Balloon. Not technically, we're a little early. Supposed to start on May 1st. So that is happening. And we got a lot going on over at the YouTube channel. I don't know if the folks that listen to the show ever check out our YouTube channel, but Carly has this F1. Did I say that right? Is it F1 racing?
You did. Well done.
Okay. All right. Yay. I now know everything about racing. She's got an awesome racing show that's doing pretty well. People seem to enjoy Velocity Legends. You guys should check that out. And I think we have a new Monsters of the 80s today.
Yeah, that's coming out later today.
Okay. And that's Evil Dead, right?
Yeah.
Made this thing and I don't even remember what I did.
Because it was so exciting.
It is. Anything about Evil Dead is exciting. We got an episode of Evil Dead. By the time you guys listen to this episode, it's probably already been out for like 6 months. So
they can come check it out then in 6 months' time. We'll have like a surge.
Exactly. But anyway, check out our YouTube channel because there's a lot of stuff going on over there. And we're going to keep keep bringing films to you too as well. We got a couple short films that we're probably going to be putting up on YouTube as well, huh? Yeah. I think we've already had some trailers or some shorts showing Imitation of Life and The Dark Road. Yeah. So that'll be fun. So lots more stuff coming. Plus lots more Speakeasy Noircast. And what are we on? Season 5 now?
Yeah, season 5.
Yeah. And we're like into it too. We're like, I don't know, 6-7 episodes into it, something like that.
It
She's
depends
like, no,
how
just
many
do it.
you count the Sugar Saga as. Because in my head, that's like a part 1 and a part 2. I think we've got 3 parts, maybe.
Yeah, 3. That's 3 episodes. I count it as 3 episodes. We're not going to show them 3 hours of us talking about sugar, like the same episode. No, that's like when we did 39 Steps. We got like 4 episodes of 39 Steps. Different movies,
or Chinatown.
Or
No, it
Chinatown,
wasn't
yeah.
Chinatown. No, it was The
Oh, it was-
Narrow Margin. Because it was like,
Oh yeah,
it was that
double
long.
episode.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Whatever we were
Mhm.
using, it was that long. We had to put the first part into 2 parts, and then we had to put the second part into 2 parts. So it ended up being 4
Yeah.
parts.
Something like that. Yeah, Narrow Margin was a big one because I think we did like a original and a remake or something in the same episode. So it was huge. And I think Chinatown was the same thing because we did Chinatown and the 2 Jakes at the same time.
Yeah, we
that's some
did.
kind of
We did.
double episode.
Bloody hell.
We got to do another one of those. We got to find like an original and a sequel or original and remake. Do another one. Maybe we'll do the Matrix and Matrix Resurrection.
I don't know if I want to listen to you moan about the Matrix for 2 hours. To be honest.
I actually like the new one, the last one.
Oh,
Yeah,
then maybe we
everybody-
will do it then because I actually didn't like it. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's strange that you didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like it for some reason. I thought it was.
I didn't dislike it. I thought it was interesting, but I didn't like it, I suppose, in comparison to what it was supposed to be, because obviously I like The Matrix so much. It was like a Bill and Ted situation where I got far too amped up and excited for it, and it was never going to be.
Yeah.
It was never going to fulfill what I wanted ever. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure what more you can do with The Matrix. You know, it's like one of those things where you have to do something completely different, as I think they did with the last one, or it's just retreading. You know.
Yeah.
So I personally really enjoyed it, and I'm not a massive fan of the first movie. I mean, I like them, but I just thought at the time they were just severely overhyped, and I still think they're kind of overhyped, but only within certain generations. Like, ask the younger kids, are like, yeah, isn't that an old movie? You know what I mean, we're already past that point where, yeah, something like The Matrix is considered old, over 20 years. You know.
I think the problem is as well the way that the world is now, with everybody having access to so much stuff. When you go like bullet time, they're like, I did that last week in my bathroom. It's on YouTube. It's not a thing anymore. It's not. It's okay. Fair enough. How'd you do that?
Stupid, amazing bullet time. It's so overdone. Yeah. It's like if Saturday Night Live has already done it, it's old news. Anybody can do it. All right. Well, why don't we get into the drink for tonight? Yeah. So tonight's drink is called The Final Confession. It is a classic Manhattan with a bit of an edge to it. It's 2 ounces of rye whiskey, 3/4 ounce of sweet vermouth, 1/4 ounce of Amaro, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 dash of orange bitters, and a Luxardo cherry as a garnish, which I believe the Luxardo cherry is like one of those like dark really super rich cherries. You don't like those? You know
I
what
don't
I
like
found
any
that
cherries.
you don't like any cherries. Oh yeah, that's right. Something wrong with you.
Get that out my drink. No, thank you.
All right. I like cherries. I don't know what's wrong. I did find these really cool, like bourbon cherries. They're like super rich, and they got like a hint of bourbon to them. But I thought those were really good. Just like one in like a glass of bourbon or bourbon Coke or something like that. It's really good. I don't know. Why don't you like cherries? It's so weird. Nature's candy. What's going on?
Ugh, no. Ugh. No, I don't know. They're weird.
They're weird.
I don't.
They're
I've
like
never liked them.
grapes.
I don't like them. I don't like how they are. I don't like why you can buy a toilet hole brush like that is a cherry. You can have a t-shirt with cherries on. I don't like it. I just don't like them. I think they look weird, and no, they taste weird. They look weird. They're in weird food and they're in weird drinks, and now they're on people's t-shirts. So no.
That's funny.
For me.
All right.
Which is
At all
weird,
the
because I do like the avocado trend of avocados being on people's t-shirts, and I like eating that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just old.
I don't know. Do you have an avocado shirt?
I have avocado pajamas.
Figures. Nice. All right. Add all the ingredients into a mixing glass with ice. Stir it slowly. Remember that little thing we talked about with the spoon where you have to? Yeah, it's this interesting technique. If you ever get the chance to like watch like Bar Rescue or something like that, you'll learn all about it.
I do.
While you listen to John Taffer scream his head off. Stir slowly. Yeah, I'll get these words in the right order. Stir slowly. Strain into a chilled coupe glass and garnish with a single cherry. And optionally, because I like this kind of thing, you can lightly smoke the glass, which I have yet to be able to figure out how to do properly. But you could smoke it with a burnt orange peel before pouring your liquids into it. However, just last week we went to a bar and I ordered some sort of rum Manhattan, and it was a smoked drink. So they had this thing I haven't seen before. They put it over the drink, and it's got it honestly makes it look like it's like a weed pipe or something. It's got like a little bowl on the top where they put something in, probably cinnamon or something, and then they got a torch and they burn it and it just like smokes into the glass. It's really cool. That was one of the best drinks I've had in a long time. A rum Manhattan, which I've never even heard of, but it was pretty good.
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. It had like the right balance of like sweetness and bitterness to it. It was good. But yeah, anyway. But then I got a second one, and it was made by somebody else, and it was not even close to being as good. So that sucked.
Oh.
So bartenders are not the same.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, right. All right, folks. Enjoy your Please Murder Me while you check out a clip for tonight's movie, because this film has no trailer.
Oh, I've got it right.
I saw Joe today. I told him about it.
Oh. What did he say?
That's what's so wrong, Mara. He didn't get angry. He just said give him a couple of days to think it over. I guess I helped him die a little today. I know I did.
Darling, do you believe that when we first met, we tried to fall in love?
Why, no, certainly not.
Haven't we respected my marriage? We tried to walk away. We did everything we could not to let it happen.
That doesn't make today any easier.
I never wanted to hurt Joe. I didn't think I could possibly fall in love with anyone else. But I have. I'm not ashamed of my feelings for you. I'm not afraid of the world knowing the truth. I don't believe what we have is wrong. Don't spoil it, Craig.
All right. I don't know why we look different now. There we go. Nope, that's not it either, is it? Are we this way? There we are. I think.
Well, no, the other way is maybe better because then you can't see my fading sunlight and look. So.
All right. Let's see what other options there are. I can make you small.
That might be better. Oh, that's even more better.
Disappear. We're tiny. And we're gone. Sorry, folks.
It was like such an extreme zoom in. I was like, even I went, ugh.
All right. That was a short clip from the 1956 American film noir Please Murder Me, directed by Peter Godfrey and starring the amazing Angela Lansbury and Raymond Burr. Also, this film is in the public domain because I guess it had some sort of weird incomplete copyright on it. So it was I don't know who becomes the stickler on incomplete copyrights or missing copyrights in films, but it's kind of like the same thing with Night of the Living Dead, where I think it was the distribution company forgot to put the copyright on the actual film, and so it's in the public domain. Don't know how that worked back then, but that's pretty crazy to me. So yeah, before we get any further, though, we need to hear Carly's in a nutshell synopsis.
You're so gonna hate this one.
I think I'm gonna love it, just because you said that.
I don't think it's very good. Okay. Perry Mason reveals what we all suspected about Jessica Fletcher. She's a murdering sociopath.
Right. Too bad it didn't take place in Cabot Cove.
I know.
Right? Man, it was good to see Angela Lansbury this young in like an early movie like this. It's very interesting. Because her whole style and demeanor is very 1950s noir. You know, I almost like couldn't even recognize her voice. You know, I mean, you could totally tell it's her, but it was very time period, like different, composed to seeing her on like Murder, She Wrote or in some of her other, like, you know, Agatha Christie movies or whatever. And Raymond Burr, who to me, anytime I see Raymond Burr, it's not that he's a bad actor. He's just sort of the same in everything to me. Like he doesn't change much. It's always the same kind of monotone, stoic kind of just vibe from him.
Yeah.
So,
he looks
I mean,
like a Toy Story character. Do you not think?
A Toy Story character?
Yeah, when I watch him, and I genuinely don't mean that in like in a rude way, even though it probably sounds really rude. When I watch him, because he's got such big, deep eyes, I can just watch his eyes. That's kind of, and he just looks like he's got that kind of like Disney, big, wide-eyed, deep-set kind of kind toy face.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be a Raymond Burr Disney toy.
Yeah, well, it's because like
He needs a Funko Pop.
Yeah, he does. I'm gonna
right
get one.
behind me, right here. That's Angela Lansbury.
Oh, so we need a Raymond Burr one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's because, like, you know how some puppets, was it Jerry Anderson when he did some of the puppets? He based them on film actors.
Who?
Like, is it Stingray? I might be wrong here. Hold on. I think Stingray, Troy Tempest, is based on James Garner. So the puppet was supposed to look a little bit like James Garner.
Is this a British thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't know
I
what
have no idea.
stingray is?
Nope. I mean, a stingray. It's an animal in the sea. It's a creature. I know what that is.
You know what Thunderbirds is, don't you?
Thunderbirds. Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
Same thing. So Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, Stingray.
Nope. I know Thunderbirds.
You are if that's all you got, you guys are missing out.
Yeah, I think that's all we got over here. And then it was like remade by the South Park guys. Maybe not remade, but like a knockoff movie version. I can't remember what it's called. Team America or something. Do you remember that? No.
Yeah, they just use puppets.
It reminded me of Thunderbirds though. It looks just like them.
Yeah, it does. To be fair, yeah. You spot on with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess when I first started watching this movie, I was a little worried because it opens kind of in the same way. I think it's DOA.
Yeah.
And I think there's another movie that has a character like stumbling into his work. And I think Edward G. Robinson is in it. Insurance scam thing that's not Double Indemnity, is it? No, because he's dead in the pool. What movie was it with the insurance thing where he stumbles into the office and starts recording what happened and is like, I've been murdered or whatever. And then DOA is kind of the same thing, but I think he's confessing to the cops or whatever what's happened. And so I think DOA came out maybe like 6-7 years before this film.
Mm.
So it's kind of interesting to me that they're using the same kind of trope that early, to it, because it's very similar. I was like, I don't think they really needed to do that. The movie had a big enough twist, I mean, I think everybody kind of probably assumes what was going to happen, like today's audience, if they watch it. But I don't think like that opening scene necessarily like helped the twist at all, per se.
It felt like such a long time as well when he was walking. It was
Mhm.
all so dark and but really dark to the point where you couldn't see. And I thought, I
Yeah.
wish I'd watched the colorized version. And I put that on, and it was exactly the same. To be fair, it was like, oh my god, what is he walking to? And then he got
Yeah.
to where he was going, and then we had another sort of felt like half an hour of this long drawn out thing before we even got to anything else. So I was when I first started, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be slow.
Yeah. I was a little confused in that opening too, because it shows him walking around and buys a gun. Right?
Mm.
So I know that he pulls that gun out at the end to get her to like kill him. But as I was watching the movie, I'm wondering if they set it up that way because I started thinking he killed the husband, or like it was a thing between him and Angela Lansbury's character where he gave her the gun to kill him, or he was maybe hiding in the room when he was shot, and they killed him in the room. Like I was expecting that to be a sort of thing, instead of this sort of like he knew nothing about it, and then he was buying the gun to have her kill him, which is like his moral code is such a level he's willing to die for it, right? Like
Yeah.
as a lawyer, his moral code is at such a level that he's willing to give up his own life to fix something that he did, I guess, not intentionally. But I thought that was pretty crazy of a plot point, but it was it was a pretty good twist, I guess. But I think at some point you just sort of like you see it kind of coming. I don't know. How did you feel? Like, did things play out in sort of a way where you didn't quite know what the ending was going to be, or did you feel like that you caught it?
I didn't think that he'd get her to shoot him. And quite frankly, she's a bloody good shot, isn't she, to do it twice?
Well, she was only like 4 feet away.
Get it there and then. Bloody good marksman. I actually really started to like it when he started trying to kind of drive her insane. And I thought that that would have been a really good way to go about it, to kind of have some elaborate hoax where she drops herself in it and he gets to say, "Ha." I did not expect it to end like that because I thought it's quite circumstantial and that's quite what would have happened if the tape recorder had recorded properly or the man hadn't turned up, or I thought she was going to get to the tape recorder first, or she was going to try and sweet talk the district attorney, and then they just, for someone that's so clever, that's a lawyer, just seemed like a lot of things could go wrong to make that sacrifice. So I think maybe that's why I wasn't expecting it to go the way that it did, because I thought, no, he's smarter than that. And he wasn't.
Yeah, well, not yet, because this is before Perry Mason, so it had, he didn't. He's just cutting his teeth right now in the lawyering.
Yeah. He hadn't had his Ironside years, so he didn't really know how to freak and menace people. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he probably didn't die, and then he learned from his mistakes and then became Perry Mason. Right.
It's like, I won't do that again, guys, because that didn't work very well.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's probably my biggest issue with the movie is probably Raymond Burr, because for years seeing him as Perry Mason, this very well could have been a Perry Mason movie. It's not played any differently, anything. And even being earlier in his career, it was like, he didn't grow much. You know what I mean? He's fun. It's okay to watch. Like, I don't have a problem with him at all, but like his range is very one note sort of thing, which is fine for playing Perry Mason. Like, that works, for other things, maybe not so much, but I think that was what was good about this movie, is they surrounded him with pretty good actors. I think everybody was really good in the film. Especially the friend of his who isn't in it for very long. I really enjoyed that whole sort of like, they have such a bond, the two of them. And I know they set it up from them being in the war and all that kind of stuff, but they have such a bond that this guy ends up not being your typical, you stole my girl, I'm going to beat you up kind of thing. He's just like, let me contemplate this for a few days kind of thing. Is like, that's not normal to see in like a movie. So that was kind of interesting. And then you get a little bit more of that where he's talking to, I can't remember the other character's name, but he's talking to another friend who he gives the letter to. And that was probably the one plot point that was unexpected for me, was what the letter says and explains. That was an interesting take for me, but also why would the husband, I mean, I understand he's in love with his wife, but he knows she's not, and she wants to leave, whatever. I just don't understand why. I don't know. I just feel like at some point you just gotta kind of let it go, or get shot. Because she's obviously a Black Widow. I don't know. I feel like in her history, she's probably done this 5 other times.
Yeah,
she's just perfecting
feels
her
a bit
craft.
like it. Yeah. She feels a bit like that woman out of Blonde Ice that was just like, well, never mind, buy me a cocktail.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, she was very cold, right? Yeah.
She
But
could
I
have kept
did
that going for a little bit longer before. Sure, like she's literally just got out of jail. She literally blinked and was like, boom, another person.
Yeah. And I think I do enjoy Angela Lansbury in this because when she's in those scenes where she's, supposed to be faking or whatever, like you believe her, right?
Yeah.
And then when she does those scenes where she's like kind of like getting caught or whatever, it's like she plays it really well, like that whole dynamic between those two versions. And then as it progresses, and then she's like, oh my God, everything's kind of closing in. You can just see her kind of getting more worried. And so I really enjoyed that. It's really like kind of testament to like her acting ability. I think personally. And especially for being, I mean, I know she's been in a lot of things before this, but I do think it was kind of she created a very complex sort of like role for herself with that, and the way she pulled it off, which I thought was great. And my opinion, she was acting circles around Raymond Burr. Raymond Burr, I think he had like kind of the easier job, where it's just sort of like he's just the lover boy lawyer guy, and then he's got to be stoic and hurt, I guess. And so it was a little less complex, I guess, for him, but more complex in terms of his reasoning. But you don't actually get to maybe see it in his acting. But I guess it's like it is a thing that I am kind of noticing, and it might be kind of the reason that society progressed in this way, but sort of like this masculinity sort of like portrayal in film. It really seems to be a huge, I don't know if plot point is the right word, but a huge display in these like film noir films. Like, and it really, I don't think you really see that in the same way in like earlier films, like, I don't know, like obviously there's like this sort of level of masculinity in movies like Gone with the Wind or things like that, whatever. But it's like, it's different. That's just more of like a pretty boy cockiness, I would say, as to where like these sort of noir movies have more of like this, like, I don't want to say moral code, because it's more of like I'm probably saying this wrong, but like a man's code, like their own personal male code sort of thing, because it could be good or bad.
Yes, I see what you mean. It's kind of like a more older respect code. Like you say, whether it can be good or bad, it's like you're older. This is what happens. This is the way things are done. This is how you behave. This hasn't happened, so now this is now what happens. Kind of a bit like an old-fashioned like gangster code.
A little bit, yeah. That's kind of what it is, because it's like, even if it's like the guy is a bad guy, he still has this sort of like, it seems like a personal responsibility as to how he conducts himself in a way, even if they're a terrible person. Like, even if you go back to like the what was the Frank Sinatra movie?
Suddenly.
So yeah, it's kind of like even though he's like this really terrible person, it's like he has a very specific, like, almost personal code how he conducts himself in a way. And I think that like these sorts of movies very well could be that sort of like gateway of like that toxic masculinity kind of thing that is such a buzzword the past like 20 years or whatever, about how men are and how they're portrayed and how they act, kind of thing. It really feels like this sort of like section of film really dug in to that sort of like idea. And it also looks like a natural progression from like the earlier, like, I'm not even sure how to describe, but just like the dashingly handsome guy that you'd see on the earlier films, that kind of transitioned into noir. And because they have their own sort of like set of like womanizing sort of like things, but it almost feels like that was just like, that's just because women are throwing themselves at them sort of thing, as where these movies feel a little different, where it's a darker, more personal kind of thing. And that you get to see that on display here with like the Raymond Burr character, where he's so like in love with this woman, but more in love with his moral code and his career, that he's willing to sacrifice himself. And it's a really, in a way, ridiculous, concept, but also very stoic and thing to see somebody, I guess, give up their life for.
It's quite interesting though, actually, because it's kind of like they go from being like the ladies' man to kind of like wanting to save certain particular types of women. And then what sort of comes out of the end of the film noir is the characters that couldn't save the women, that have made sacrifices, and it's where you kind of get this lone wolf anti-hero that we have got so much of now. Like the John Wick kind of character, like the Guy Pearce kind of character in the Neo Noirs. They're the ones that have like been the lady's boy, tried to save the lady, it's all gone wrong, and now you're left with like these complex, weird, lonely characters.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It gets to a point where it's like they always got the girl, and then now they're like, you got to fight for it and you lose it. And then you got the 80s to where it's like the wrapped up in a nice bow end film where they always, sort of like go through all these terrible things and then still get the girl at the end kind of thing. So yeah, the male ego has evolved quite a bit, I guess.
And there's the women still running about, throwing them under the bus, left, right, and center.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't. I think that the portrayal of women doesn't change too much in film, and it's like even like horror films. It's like there's a very distinct way that women are generally portrayed, even when they have these sort of like final girl kind of like films or these things where they're trying to make a female character that's super kick-ass or whatever. Like there's still that trope in there. There's still that sort of like same kind of feeling with it. And it's just
I don't
interesting.
think the behavior of women has really changed or evolved that much. Like they've always been in the background, whispering, getting people in trouble, like meddling. It's just a degree of how obvious you are about it, really.
Yeah. And I think that just like, because you see that a lot in like the period movies, Victorian times and things like that. It's this whole concept, I think, probably goes back to hunting and gathering. The men go out and do all this stuff while the women have time on their hands to gather berries and talk. I don't know. I'm just juxtaposing that, and I think that that's sort of like perpetuated, especially in film. The men are the ones doing the jobs and the traveling, and the women that are at home bored and having to create, something, something to do, something to talk about. And I think that's where that sort of like idea of manipulation and, that sort of stuff comes from. And we haven't let it go. And, nowadays it's not the same. It's not the same world in that terms, it's not the 50s anymore with, every woman's the stay-at-home wife and baking and cooking and taking care of the kids kind of thing. At least not in my life. It's like life is not the same. And I think Hollywood has a hard time kind of wrapping their head around that, because it's like one or the other. They don't make women very dynamic in those terms. However, I don't know if you've watched Yellow Jackets TV show.
No,
you have not. What's her name? Lewinsky. The lead character in that show is amazing, and I think they wrote her character very much in the opposite of what we're talking about. She's super cool. And so if you haven't had a chance to check out Yellow Jacket, you should. It's pretty cool.
I might do.
Yeah. Huh?
I said I might do. I'm always looking for a female character that doesn't irritate me.
Oh, they might all irritate you in that show, but like for good reason. It's sort of like a oh um my brain wants to say Lord of the Rings, but it's not Lord of the Rings.
You know,
What the heck is what is the book with the boys that get trapped on the island, the conch, Piggy, um, the boy they call Piggy, and they go crazy, and um, Lord
Lord of the
uh,
Flies,
Lord of the
right?
Flies, yes. Yes, Lord of the
Was
Flies.
a shot in the dark.
Yeah, no, you got it. How do you not? Yeah. I figured Piggy and the conch show would have sold that. Yeah, so Yellow Jackets is very much like Lord of the Flies, in terms of its
Oh.
like setup and concept, but it flips back and forth between uh, current time and when they were stranded on this island or out in the wilderness or whatever. So you know that they were at some point, some of them were rescued, but it flashes back to them being stranded and the craziness that they go through and happens and how it shapes their modern day version and how messed up they are. So it would
Oh.
be sort of like Lord of the Flies had you seen what happened to them afterwards, right? So it's very interesting. It's very complex characters, and it's pretty much it's a female soccer team. I think they're playing Crash Lands somewhere, and
Hmm.
the only other male character is one boy that was on the plane with them, and then their soccer coach. And it's a crazy show. It's very. It also has a very 80s feel to it because I guess that's when they crashed or whatever it was sometime in the 80s. But I suggest checking it out. It's pretty cool. I think you'll enjoy it. I know you don't like female characters, but it's good. Um, I don't know. I think I don't have too much more to say about this movie. I think it was, even though it has like a couple twists, I think it was pretty straightforward. I think it's one of those movies where it's like you kind of see, you kind of know that those things are kind of coming. Like I don't, maybe not exactly what it is, but um, that there's something that they're obviously like setting you up for, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a decent movie. I don't think it was amazing personally. Maybe that's why there's no trailer for it. You know, it wasn't popular enough to have a trailer. But I don't know. Do you want to do your rating, or you have anything else that you want to discuss?
No, I'm the same as you. To be fair, kind of.
Yeah.
It was kind of not take it or leave it. That
Hmm.
kind of makes it sound worse than what I think it is. But it wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything overly special, which is a shame considering the two actors, from my point of view, that you had in it.
Hmm.
So I do quite like Raymond Burr, but I don't think he really had enough to do
Mm.
because his character. I don't know. I quite enjoyed him in the courtroom bits, even though I was thinking this is a bit of a conflict of interest. You're going to get disbarred, mate, if you carry on. But he didn't care. Threw caution to the wind. So there we go.
Yeah.
And I quite like the fact that everybody believed it because he was the one that said it. That said quite a lot about his character. And nobody
Hmm.
questioned it, and that's how she got away with it, and obviously why she picked him. But we didn't really get a lot of his character other than him doing long drawn out speeches or talking for a purpose. He was never talking, just talking. It was all very regimented and getting through a big chunk to make sure that we understood that him and the husband were friends and blah blah blah. And I thought Angela Lansbury was very good. I really liked her character. But again, she didn't have anything to do when we were in the courtroom. So it's kind of like two halves of a movie. The first half, when she was in the courtroom, there was nothing going on but her sitting there in a chair looking doe-eyed, and he was doing all the talking. And then in the second half, he was doing nothing except looking like a Toy Story character, and she was doing everything. And then you had this other random character in the mix that was just a painter, and I think it was, even though I really liked what was going on plot-wise towards the end, for some reason, the balance of it just didn't quite sit right for me.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah. What kind of rating would you give it?
See, I kind of want to give it an 8 just because of who's in it, but realistically, I think for enjoyment, it should be a 7.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you.
I wouldn't watch it again, but I would
Yeah.
recommend other people to watch it purely for those two. So
Yeah. At least you're a little more forgiving for Raymond Burr than I am. Like, I've always had that sort of like same feeling with him, that he's just very bland, not that he's bad at his thing. You know what I mean? It's just, he doesn't, in my eyes, he doesn't really have a range. So he's not very fun for me to watch, other than just nostalgia of all the Perry Mason stuff and seeing him in the courtroom. Right. But, and I think that his style is kind of like what led to more colorful courtroom stuff, like say Matlock or something,
yeah,
where he's more animated and there's more going on. Like, not saying Andy Griffith is a better actor, and I'm not even comparing the two. It's just the way that they made that character was less one note, right? Like, even Perry Mason hardly ever really like raises his voice, kind of thing. And that's the same in this movie. It hits that line and just kind of stays there, no matter kind of what's happening. And I do really think Angela Lansbury was really good in it. I was expected it, like an earlier role, maybe it was just going to be kind of flat, but I really thought that she brought like a complexity to her character, which was already complex. She really showed a range, even if it's subtle. She really showed like the full range of like what that character was going through. So I think that's like probably the biggest takeaway from this movie as a whole. I do think that they did a great job casting. I think Raymond Burr, against everything else in there, works well. I just wanted more from him for some reason. I think it's just because I know who it is, kind of thing. And I didn't really appreciate the opening scene with the recording and all that, just because we've seen it before. I don't also think it was necessary. And I agree with you. Like, he should have been, if he's such a good lawyer, he should have been at a position where he could figure out how to do this in a more smart way. Right. I get the whole double jeopardy thing, not being tried for the same crime, all that kind of stuff. But you also could have ruined somebody's life without them having to go to jail, exposing them, like whatever it is.
Or he could have fitted her up for something. Like, I think I would have really enjoyed it if he'd have ended up fitting her up for something. And then having that moment at the end where she knows it's him and there's nothing she can do about it, but then that he's got to live with it, sort of thing. I think personally would have preferred that, because they made so much out of him being the best lawyer and the only lawyer that could ever have got away with this. And
sure. See, I would have liked to have taken it a little bit further and had him try to expose her to the high school boyfriend guy, the painter. Like, I would have liked to have seen, their relationship is so old that I feel like his response to it would be very big and not okay. Right. Um, I think that there was a way that they could have utilized that as being sort of a big explosion somehow, or expose that she's in a very long conning this guy too somehow. I don't know how that would work, but um, and exposing that fact. There could have been something, I think, more without it ending in his character's like death, or dying and being super altruistic, which is, I don't
I'm
think,
pretty sure he could
realistic.
have got her to confess, couldn't he? Because I really like
Something.
the setup with the fake information, where he's like, I've got
Hmm.
this file, we'll find out. And then he's got the tape recorder under there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she would be stupid enough to initially fall for it and just confess, but I'm pretty sure, considering how much they played on his character, that he would have been the perfect person to get her to confess on tape
Yeah.
and do something, even if like she shot him and missed, or she shot him and injured him, and then the DA walked in, or something. Like
Hmm.
just something that wasn't just he's dead, and then we have to wait 5 minutes for the DA to even come in.
Right.
It just felt like she could have done. She could have ran away. She could have. I always wanted her to run away and get away with it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's a few little holes like that. Yeah. And I think because I was at a certain point, it's like, oh, you kind of know what's happening. I think I just naturally wanted another plot point, like, and I wanted another sort of twist thing, because being as they set it up with that sort of like DOA thing where it's like I'm gonna be dead, and I mean you could take it as like that sort of um, what do you call it, the inconsistent narrator, or what do you call it,
Oh yeah, unreliable narrator.
unreliable, yeah, narrator sort of thing. You could take that and maybe as lying.
Yeah.
But I was pretty certain that wasn't the case with this. Um, so yeah, I wanted another plot twist that didn't involve him being killed. Not because it's like, oh, that's a drag, he died, but just because in my mind, that's just like a little absurd for somebody to allow themselves to be murdered just to get back at someone. It's like, I don't know. So that kind of, I think, is my biggest issue with the movie as a whole. I did find it entertaining. I did enjoy watching it, and I think I would, if I would watch it again. I don't think it was so bad I wouldn't watch it again. But because I did enjoy a lot, especially Angela Lansbury's portrayal in it. Yeah, and the supporting characters I thought really good, so I think I would watch it again. But I would also give it a 7. I think that's about where it sits. It's pretty decent, but it's not like a great film by any means. Yeah, yeah. So I think we're spot on with that. Just slightly different issues, I think. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Raymond Burr, huh? Quite like
Thing
Raymond
is,
Burr. Yeah.
if I say anything bad about Raymond Burr or John Wayne, my
Your
nan's
mom's
spirit's
gonna
going to
tell you.
come through the
Whoa.
screen and rip my face off.
Well, let's try. No.
No, I ain't not after what that bloody medium said. She might float around. She'll come after you, mate, when you finish. You
Uh-oh.
got to be careful.
Nope.
But I think Raymond Burr and John Wayne are quite similar. They have quite similar acting styles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say wooden. It's not wooden. It's just they're very rigid. They're very stiff. They don't use a lot of the body to move, and they have a very gruff sort of style. And I think the idea is that it's from the eyes. So when you watch Perry Mason, if his eyes, like my nan used to say, when you watch it, he'd do something with his face, and and I'd be like, what? I don't get it. But then years later, when I watch it, I'm like, oh, he knows, street, he knows. It's like some sort of weird, I don't know. It's like some sort of spiritual thing. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. There's a lot of people that enjoy Raymond Burr. All right, Carly. Well, 2 7 out of 10s for Please Murder Me, which I also found to be a funny title considering the plot. Yeah. I hope you folks at home will enjoy your final confession drink while watching Please Murder Me. And, send us a comment. Tell us what you think about the movie. We would love to hear from you. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye. He's looking at you, kid.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Speakeasy Noircast. Make sure to visit our website, resurrectionfilms.net, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps so you'll never miss a show.